Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I've got Rex Solomon here in the house. He is with a great company called Houston Jewelry. You can learn more about them at houstonjewelry.com. And although, at times, especially when we get in the holidays, I would like to talk a little bit more about we have, jewelry-wise and that type of thing. But the reason why you're on the show and you're now a regular on the Price of Business program is because of the insights you have, really kind of unique insights that you bring of what's happening, not just macro in the U.S. economy, but internationally, and I love that kind of insight and that kind of information. And I call it quirky. I call it, and I call it that as a compliment because there's just so much mainstream information that's not only boring, but it's really kind of dishonest, and it doesn't show the dynamics of what's really happening there. And every time I converse with you, you bring insights that, frankly, we're not hearing elsewhere that I think our audience needed to hear. And it's good to see you, Rex Solomon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do want to mention again, HoustonJewelry.com. Talk a little bit about China. We've got this another kumbaya experience. We're seeing a lot of scary stories regarding China. China has these massive cities all over its country that are called ghost towns. We're literally not occupied. I've seen the photos. They're absolutely creepy, and they're building still some more of those. But there are some other areas that you were bringing.
Well, China is a fascinating country. I had the opportunity to go there in 1982 with one of the very first American school groups in the country for 3 weeks. And it was like stepping back in time. It was like it was in the 1920s and in some villages like in the 1820s. And where they have gone from there to here is incredible. However, there was a massive bubble in their stock market, and a lot of this construction and the massive push forward was all from the central planning, and it was not sustainable. And as a result, their consumer economy has collapsed in the last 6 to 8 months, and that has put a huge damper on consumption of luxury goods. While it's apocryphal, this is one of the things that how it affects us and how it affects world markets is that up until 8 months ago, at the watch shows where collectible watches are bought and sold among dealers, all of the buyers were from China, and they were paying premium prices for Rolexes, Patek, Panerai, etc. Over the last 6 months, the Chinese have been selling large amounts of watches at these shows, bringing them back into the United States because there's so many people that need to raise cash in China.
Slightly used in some cases, I assume.
Well, these were all used watches.
I'm joking.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a used watch market.
Right.
This is not how the brands sell their products. This is all the secondary, the collectible market. So there's been a huge decrease, has provided a tremendous amount of slack in the world luxury market. So that has affected diamond cutters in India, where they had been growing. Now they're declining because that all of a sudden a big engine has been taken out. The United States market is still relatively flat or declining locally. So there isn't anything else to suck this luxury product to consume it.
Yeah, and I'm even noticing that there's a huge increase in stock interest in companies like AutoZone. Where people would be trading their car in to upgrade. That people are trying to make that car that they have. Okay, it only has 100,000 miles. Let's get 150,000 out of it. There's just kind of a austerity that seems to be fairly rampant out there.
Oh, repair is a big area. People are certainly locally more concerned about repairing something than replacing it, because that is a way to just stretch your dollar. And so I'm seeing traffic at our local Ace Hardware next door to us, people coming in and buying things. That's what happens. It's good old-fashioned ingenuity, repair, it's thriftfulness. In the consumer markets, one of the things that we find in the jewelry industry is that while it is a very old-fashioned industry, it is international in scope. So I'm dealing with people who are in India, in China, in Belgium, in Italy, and we get a feel for what world economy is or what it may be months ahead when we go to markets, because we're getting feedback. Everybody is talking about what the local economy is in their individual country. And so if there is an economic sort of force going along, we often feel it before it shows up in the news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was certainly true in 2008. The Vegas market, there was just at the end of that show in June, there was an almost gloom over the show, and I just walked out of there saying something bad is going to happen, and of course it did.
And when was that, by the way, in 2008? What part of the year?
That was in June.
Yeah.
In the beginning of June.
Yeah. By the end of the summer, it was...
yeah. So when
Hurricane Ike hitting here was bad enough, and then you had a global, storm that, well, in some ways we've never even fully recovered from. In some ways, in fact, if you take Texas out of the recovery numbers, the United States has never gotten out of that recession.
No, absolutely not. Although the federal government says that our employment rate has improved. What they did is, in fact, just recalculate the way that you count unemployment and drop off all the people who have given up looking for jobs.
90 million.
Yeah.
And a population of 300 million. And a bunch of those 300 million, it's about 330 million now. A bunch of them are kids, so we wouldn't even count them anyway. It's extreme. It's really, we haven't seen anything like this in terms of percentage of the population since the Great Depression.
Oh, absolutely. And it is so dystopian the way that the federal government is manipulating the numbers and just feeding it to the media and saying, well, yes, be happy, the number is good. And we can look around and we all know people who have not been able to get a job in their field for a long period of time. And that's locally. But I know people who are outside of the Texas market, which we are obviously very affected by the oil industry, but in areas where it's supposed to be booming, like Los Angeles. It's not.
It's not.
It's not. And it's not in Boston. It's not in Chicago.
What's your thoughts as far as really some prudent ideas for business owners out there, entrepreneurs like yourself, things you're doing to take care of yourself and your business? Reduce
debt. The key thing to surviving a downturn is make sure your balance sheet is clean. Unless you can get long-term debt at historic low interest rates, you've got to keep your balance sheet, keep your payables very, very low.
Keep it clean.
Keep cash.
Yeah.
Cash is king.
HoustonJewelry.com. Rex Solomon is our guest. You're going to be hearing him pretty frequently here on The Price of Business. I can't tell you how excited I am to have him involved with the program. Plus, you're going to be adding content over there at priceofbusiness.com. We're looking forward to that.
We are looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, you're going to have some great information, keeping you, the listener, informed. That's going to wrap up today's program. Do want to remind you, the show continues 24/7 at priceofbusiness.com, and the best content here shows up over there at usdatareview.com. Have a great day. Spend it wisely right here on this station.